Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Folks, it's so good to see you. You know, I'm frankly very excited about this anthology that you all made for Netflix. It's called Paava Kadhaigal, which means sin stories. Now, the only thing we know right now, the only thing that's been told to us is that the film explores the influence of pride and honor on intimate, complex relationships, which, frankly, is a very broad description and really doesn't tell us anything about these films. So I think it's only fair to ask you to give us a sense of what one can expect from each of your films and why you felt compelled to do this or to tell these stories, please.
So, see, for me, this first coming up on this theme to do an anthology itself was very nice because I thought setting up.
Sorry to interrupt. I think I'll start because only one sentence.
Yeah.
We all came in with the idea of making love stories. I mean, that's what Sudha, Vignesh and me came in for. And Vetri was also, obviously he initiated this whole process and the genre was love and we all thought we'll go ahead with it. And then Vetri said, if it's love, I'm not so keen. He actually said, I don't want to do this. You guys go ahead and get another director, he said, on the call. You know. So then we didn't want to lose Vetri. So then we said, okay, Vetri, what would you prefer? So he came up with whatever you suggested as the synopsis idea. Let's make something on, relationships and honor and pride and all that stuff. And then I thought, okay, where am I going to go and write something like this? And then Vicky and I, we later, discussed, behind Vetri's back. And then we said, we want Vetri. So then let's just go ahead and make this. And then that's how we plunged in. Now Vetri will pick it up from there.
Vetri, what's your problem with love stories first?
No. I keep doing love stories every time I make a mainstream film, and that love story becomes the ultimate thing. That you make a film like Adagalam, which deals with the darker shades of human mind and all of that. Saying one guy comes and meets me, sir, I'm born and brought up. He lives in the UK. He said, I'm born and brought up in Madurai. How could you make this so real about the Madurai people? And I was thinking that he's found something about the film that is very exciting. He said, that boy talking to this girl when he asks for the ball, that is only that much they know. So that the love stories get more precedence over anything else that you discuss in a mainstream film. So I thought, why do that? Let's explore onto something deeper, when we get an opportunity, have a platform like Netflix, let's try to explore it. That's what I thought, and I'm happy that all of us, they all decided to do this as well. And for me, this is a very tricky thing to write as a story, and I'm a very poor writer. I don't write. So it was very challenging to let these things come in. And mine is about a father and a daughter. So the relationship dynamics, how it evolves, and we get to see we get to know their past and their present, what they are doing right now, what's going on in the minds, what is told and what is not told, all of these things. And that was really, really fine having such actors like Prakash Raj and Sai Pallavi and Hari, all of them trying to do more than what was written. And that was such a great experience for me to have all of them trying to deliver what's there, and then they brought in so much more than what was written, and I was very happy doing this.
Lovely. Sudha, you want to go?
So I think my film is about unequal relationships, and it's not like it's not to say it's about honor or anything like that. To me, it was like in any relationship, there is one who's always giving, who's giving a lot, and the other is always taking. And I think my film is about that. And that's across genders, across ages, across, span worlds. So that excited me. And I just chose to go ahead with that. And even if they're giving me some other topic, I somehow have fit this in as well. Because this is the story I had. Yeah.
Okay. Vignesh?
And like how Vetri has said, but eventually we landed making only love stories. I mean, all these four are actually love stories. It's based on love and repercussions of what happens because of a love, the relationship between. So Vetri sir, end of the day, we've made only love stories again, but with a different take, maybe different approach to the regular kind of love stories. But these stories couldn't have been addressed, as liberal we were with our writing. We couldn't have done the same way in our mainstream films. We wouldn't have been able to do such scenes in our films. So it was really exciting. As far as my film is concerned, I also tried to maybe handle such a sensitive topic with a little tinge of humor, which I just tried to blend, these two extremes into one film. Maybe I can just attempt and see. And to a certain level, I think somewhere I felt okay, it worked also. So I'm looking forward to people watching these films and what they tell us. We're just waiting for the release, actually.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy it's called Paava Kadhaigal and Sin Stories. So it really works for the story that I came up with. Because I wanted it to be like my plot points where there had to be a sin in the story, and then there had to be a family that sort of disowns one of their own, or almost disowns one of their own. And I was very sure that I didn't want to sensationalize or, just for an impact, drive home a point that I'm not really comfortable with. Because I watched Vetri's film and in Vetri's own words, the whole crew, Vetri, the cast, everybody, like they were disturbed for 3 to 4 days, is what he said. They were not able to get back to normalcy for almost 4 days. And that's the impact that I got even after watching his film. So I'm not saying anything negative about that. I'm saying that's what this film does, it's meant to do that. It draws you in and then it leaves you in a state. And then Vignesh has a quirky take to, a subject like this. And Sudha's is very emotional and all that. So and I knew the zones that they were all working in. And I think I came up with the story last. And I just decided that it'll be on these lines and it'll be simple, it'll be straight, and it'll work between the emotions, mainly between a mother and a daughter sort of a thing. So I was happy making this. Yeah.
What was the process? Was there any exchange? Was there a conversation between all of you before and during the process of making your films? I know you said, Gautham, that you all watched each other's films after, but was there any kind of, because I would imagine that you all need a through line running through these films. They're all sort of hung by the same thread in a sense. Was there a conversation between you all in terms of maybe even what's the cast you're using? What's the crew? What are the themes?
I think we spoke very less to each other, but for sure, I know I spoke to all of them because I asked each one of them to write for me. So I looked at Vetri for some time to see if I could, take his story forward, which is Vetri's suggestion. And then Sudha did suggest a couple of stories, for me. She picked a couple of books and said, try and pick up the rights and do this. Vignesh and I knew what he was making. He had an earlier story for the love story genre. And then when he moved to this, he suggested, why don't you go on these lines? So I spoke to pretty much everybody, and I drew a moment from Vetri's film to be in my film and all that. But I think eventually somewhere we all spoke to each other, and I think it's right that we spoke less so that we were able to make, this. And then we all got together to speak much more during post and stuff like that is what I think. Yeah. Next time around, like Vetri said, I think we'll talk a lot more. I think the same team is coming together again, which I'm very happy to say. So I'm sure we'll speak a lot more.
So this one, originally we wanted to have, we wanted to have something common with all 4 of our stories, like, plot points, something that runs through all the 4 stories. But this time it's just the theme. It's only thematically connected. Otherwise, it is all individual incidents, except for one small reference of my film on Gautam's film. Other than that, it is just, they exist on their own. They're short films, they're anthologies, they're short series, whatever you could call, they are there.
Right. What was the challenge here for each of you? As feature film directors, are you applying a different muscle when you're writing or making a short film, telling a story in a shorter duration?
I think doing a feature, first off, the length, it gives you so much of freedom to go slowly. You have this act 1, act 2, act 3, and you have that huge canvas. Here in 25 minutes or 22 minutes, almost like an ad film, you're out there, you shoot, you fire, you kill, you finish. And that was really difficult for me because I've never done a shot before, except at a film school, 5 of us together did one tiny shot for 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So to me, it was really difficult. It was very challenging. But again, it was once you kind of hit the challenge and you've kind of beaten that, then it's a great moment for me. So I learned something new on this, and I'm eternally thankful for this. And to me, what was also more exciting was a same theme given to 4 filmmakers, and each of us has such distinctly different voices, and we made distinctly different films, though that the thing given to us was very narrow. It was a very specific thing. So I think that is the challenge of this whole thing, and that's the validation of this whole process for me.
Writing for a short film is so different. Like it's like novella and a short story. Short story has its own grammar, structure, and syntax. Like that way, like we also have like the plot points, the act system, the structure, and then as Gautham mentioned in another interview, even the short divisions are different for a short film. The way we have to set it up, everything was challenging, and it's a learning process, especially for someone like me who doesn't write and tries to shoot something and make meaning out of whatever that you've shot. This was challenging because I can't do it. I did not have the liberty to do it that way. I had to get more or less things clearer before I started the shoot. That way, to make things work was a challenge.
Right.
Yeah. So for me, like how we have ample amount of time while making a film to establish characters. I often write stories which have more than 4 to 5 characters. I don't confine a story with 2 or 3 characters. I always, the platter is always a little wider. I have 5 to 6 characters. So for me, the challenge was to the time duration that needs to be taken to establish them, and then to give a finishing for everyone, to each character that pops up in the in the beginning of the movie, to come to a correct end, giving the right kind of balance, having a beginning, middle, and an end properly. Everything within 30 minutes was kind of a good challenge for me. So that was something which I also enjoyed. If we can do something in 30 minutes and give a fulfilling, wholesome experience of everything inside 30 minutes, then it's a great exercise also, right? So I really enjoyed this, and I would make more short films also. It has opened a different another file for me where I can make even small things which I can feel like it need not be a feature film every time. So it can be like this also. And
didn't your first short sort of result in your first feature, Vignesh?
In my first feature, yeah, I made a very small, like a promotional video. Yeah, correct. My first film was an extension of, yeah, exactly, correct. So, you read something. Great, thank you.
See, for me, honestly, I don't look at it as a half-an-hour short or it's a 10-minute film. And for me, I know there's Vignesh, Sudha, and Vetri, and it's a 2-hour, either as one film or as verticals or whatever. People are going to travel through that 2 hours. So for me, this half an hour is very important. So you go into it pretty much like you're going into a feature film, and it's the same amount of work, but it's liberating in the sense that you're not worried so much about, changing a few things around here and there to figure out if the mood in the theater is going to be maintained and stuff like that. So that's not there straight away. And for me, I always know that anything that I write for feature film, it peaks in half an hour, and after half an hour, all the issues start. So in half an hour, I'm getting out of a story here, and I was very happy, about that format itself, So I'm really happy making these, anthologies and being part of those anthologies. Yeah. So.
Netflix released Lust Stories 2 years ago, and then Ghost Stories earlier this year, and they were both anthologies by Hindi film directors. For some time now, Netflix and even other streamers, to be fair, have been asked, why are you focusing so heavily on only on Hindi content and not non-Hindi language projects? And it seems almost ironic that the same week that Netflix announces this film, a rival streamer, they who shall not be named, have also announced their own, anthology of Tamil films. In fact, 2 of you have directed for that. I want to ask you, do you feel late to the party as Tamil filmmakers? Do you feel late to the party?
Yes, we feel we're late, and thanks to Vetri, at least we are here now, because so much talking and so much of putting his films out on national platforms and everything. They finally realized that there are some filmmakers out here, like Vetri, who could also, join the bandwagon. So and this initiative also was largely due to them, coming to Vetri, and then Vetri sort of pointing out to us. So I honestly, to answer your question, yes, I think we are late into the bandwagon, so to speak.
I feel that we are not late. I feel that being early or being late is not an issue here, because we have our own stories to tell the world. We have our own issues, our own stories, our own world to present to the world. So that way, whenever we come, we have our own unique stories with our own unique identities. That way, I don't think that's a problem. I'm happy that the platforms are now keen on working
Regional
with
content.
other national languages. That's more important, national content. That's something that's very, very interesting. Now everybody are there. They want to come and they want to broaden their reach, especially with the lockdown happening. So that's good. But we are not, I don't think we should worry about whether we are early or late. We should be only worried about the content that we put out on the platform.
Sudha, Vignesh, do you want to add?
Something Ashi had said is very interesting. She's the producer on this. She's the producer. And when she came to us this time in 2019, she had 30 filmmakers to choose from, and everybody wanted to do this. And just 2 years before that, when she had come, she couldn't put together 4 filmmakers. So someplace, I think we are also getting excited about the medium and stuff other than feature films. So that's that.
And I would
that's
say
very good. That's a very good point, Sudha, because during this 100 years of Indian cinema, like Bombay talkies, they wanted to do one as Madras talkies.
Yeah.
So Ashi was trying to set it up. At that point, we were not able to do it. Like Gautham, I, and Amir and Venkat Prabhu, all 4 of us were supposed to do it, but we weren't able to set it up. So at that time,
I would say that this is actually the right time for this. We are not late. This is just about the right time because of the boom of Netflix and all these OTT platforms during this time, and the viewership has also increased. So I think we are lucky to have a film that is complete and ready to reach the people. Like just when Netflix and all OTT platforms have penetrated, and there are like more viewers right now. So we are lucky in that way to be at the party at the right time.
For anyone that is curious about non-Hindi films, sitting in Mumbai or sitting in the north or sitting anywhere where Tamil and Telugu and Malayalam and Kannada films don't release, of course, the streaming platforms have been a huge boon because now you have access to the best films and you have them with subtitles. But as makers, how do you look at the role that these streaming platforms have played? Because on the one hand, of course, they provide reach for your stories and provide reach for your films. But on the other hand, they are fast becoming an alternate to the theatrical release, aren't they?
I would say that they cannot be the alternative to the theatrical films, because already the theatrical films are dominated by the big stars. Big stars in the sense like actors, directors, studios, anything that is big and that can dominate and that can pull crowd into the theater, they are the stars. Like it could be anybody, a combination of a director and an actor, a combination of a studio and an actor, whatever it is, that is the star power. And the other films have become the fringe. You don't get screens. It could be a great film and you watch it on an OTT platform and say, oh, this is a great film. I missed it out on theater, because there were no shows allowed for such films.
But Vetri, do you have a problem with that? Do you have a problem that there may not be space on the big screen for a beautiful film like Visaranai, which talks about the world that we live in? To all of you, do you have a problem with that the theaters are becoming the exclusive domain only of the star-studded films?
Yeah. See, now it has come to a state whether it is a problem or not. It is about existence of theater, existence of theatrical business, existence of the whole industry as such. See, even in Hollywood, it's only big stars. Like you have very few people, very few studios that produce films that are not star-driven and content-driven. We will have theaters, not as powerfully as we used to have 5 years ago, 6 years ago. When you mentioned Visaranai, I got a release, I got a 120 screen release, like regular, like 3 shows release. 120, 110, 120 screens. Today, I am doubtful if I will get that many screens and that many shows. I'm very doubtful, and I feel that this is the dynamic, the change in dynamics of creative writing, and because of the OTTs, like the power of the OTT platforms, I am now feeling like, okay, I'm happy with the limited theatrical release, and I go to OTT, and if I'm getting the reach that I want to get, then I'm fine with a direct OTT release as well. But the only thing that we'll be missing out is the experience of viewing a film with hundreds and thousands of people together. It's like praying from home and going to a church or temple or a mosque to pray.
That is communal experience.
That is what will be missing, especially for the people of Tamil Nadu, who have always had so much connected to films more than the films itself.
Yeah.
Politics, social reform, everything has happened through films. So that way, it's going to be a problem. That could be a problem for us.
Gautham, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think we'll coexist. I mean, if you want to end answer sort of a thing, it'll be coexisting. I always thought it's about content. Like, yeah, I know Vetri was politically correct enough to say the smaller films, but I think it's about content, right? Generally, it's about content. There's like, I don't know. I was thinking as Vetri.
No, I'm sorry. I apologize. I take that back. It's not small films. Films without star power.
Yeah.
My apologies there.
So
films without star power, which has varied content where various content could be explored through this OTT platforms. Whereas on screens, it will be a hero, his life, his friends, only that much. Sorry.
No, so I was just wondering, as Vetri was talking to you, I was wondering if this film, this anthology, the four of us have made, considering there have been a few anthologies that came to the theaters and then went to the platforms, whether this would have been a nice or good enough theatrical release. You know, it's a question that I'd like to ask the three of you. Would this have been a nice theatrical release? Would it have got a crowd going for it? Or is this content only OTT driven content? That's why we made this here and not chosen to make this as a feature film, I'm saying.
I'll take this, Gautam.
Yeah,
I
please.
say here there are 4 stars. However big or small we are stars. And I think that's what would have brought the people to the theaters and given us the screen, which is exactly to go back to what Vetri said. Whenever you're star powered, the tentpole films will always have the theatrical screens. But otherwise, it is a problem. For the smaller in content films or in star films, it is a problem. It's going to be a problem. And going into the future, of course, now we are in a very weird time where theaters aren't even there. So you feel that huge nostalgia and attachment to theaters, and you say, oh, theaters will come back with a bang and everything. But the fact remains that the tentpole films will thrive there, and everything off that will have to go to the OTTs.
So that's right. Small films don't get a theatrical release. If that's the answer that you're looking for, we don't get easily. How do you put your content out? Who's to judge whether this is going to work or not? I'm saying, although I in contrast to what Vetri said, I think Visaranai with Vetri's name behind it today would be a big release for sure. I mean, today, because we would all go to watch what Vetri's done, right? In that sense, I'm saying. Yeah. But 5 years ago, it would have been different for a film like that, I feel. So tomorrow's Vetri, who's releasing a film today, will find it very difficult to push a film across without showing it to a few distributors and without actually having people in the right place. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Sudha, I want to ask you, you're actually sort of facing a whole different scenario with your film, right? You've made a film with Sudarai Potru, and that film, Big Star, is actually going to go straight to OTT. And there have been these outraged fans and this outraged, theater owners and theater distributors who are absolutely aghast that a film like that would go straight to OTT.
So what do you do when the producer has to pay an X amount of interest every month? You can't just sit there and say, like, I wanted to come in the theaters. I mean, it's pointless. There are huge films releasing in the theaters today with no audiences. And we do not know when the Tamil Nadu theaters are going to open. We do not know when the theatrical world is coming back into its own, or when the vaccine is coming. And I don't think people should go to the theater now and sit there flocking in hordes. So at a time like this is the only way out. I'm not happy. Surya, the actor, is not happy. But what do you do? And why I'm not happy is not because of the reach. It's because of that theatrical experience of 1,000 fans. Like, you've got those moments plugged in. saying, you know, I want this CT here, I want the whistles here, I want the claps here.
We'll all do that. Don't worry. Sitting in our homes.
We'll all do it
Thank
from
you,
home, yes.
Gautam.
Yeah,
So sweet.
sure.
Thank
I
you.
have to ask you finally, I have one last question. And this is something I've seen because I've seen that each time there's been one of these anthology films with 4 directors, even if there's great friendship between the directors, the audience and certainly, the media will decide which one's best, which ones, will rank them. I mean, are you all prepared for that? Do you all have an idea of which of the 4 films you think is the strongest of the lot? Are you prepared for that kind of, conversation when the anthology finally drops?
Sorry, Rajiv, but this is the question from the previous session that we did half an hour ago. The last question again. So we're actually wondering if this is going to be the last question across all the session. And we chose not to answer that, even though we have a favorite amongst the 4 of us.
Okay. So we'll just decide for ourselves when we see the film. But I'm very excited, and I think that all the fans are very excited because it really is an incredible opportunity for anyone that doesn't watch or doesn't get to watch films from Tamil Nadu, as regularly as one would like to. So all the best. Cannot wait to watch the film when it drops on Netflix. I'm looking forward to lots more. And one of you all hinted that there might be another one happening. So all the best for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajeev.
Thank you, Rajeev. I think it's always nice to talk to you before the release of a film.
We'll change it this time. We'll chat after as well. Thank you, Gautam.
Yeah.
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.